Hello and welcome to our Origami Poppy video. The poppy is a fairly advanced origami flower. You will start with a square base with the color on the inside of the square base, and it helps to make a nice dark patch at the very center like this. So with the open part of the square base downwards, we're going to start folding in the upper left and right edges to the center. Then we're going to unfold those two last folds. And on the left side, we're going to open up the flap and make a squash fold. So squash that flat, crease it nicely. Now we're going to flip the paper over and repeat that on the back side. So again, fold the edges in, unfold. And on the left side, make a squash fold. Okay, now we're going to make the same squash fold 2 more times. First you'll need to fold left flap over to the right, and then make that squash fold, and then flip the paper over and do that 1 more time. And when you're done, your piece should look like this. Next we're going to take the top point and just fold it right down to this edge as we're showing here. So fold the entire piece. And then unfold that. Now, believe it or not, we're actually going to unfold the entire paper. You'll understand why we do that a little bit later. But now you should see that there's an 8-sided figure, an octagon, in your paper. And actually what we need to do is make sure that the edges of the octagon are all mounted folds. So we're going to go around the edge of the octagon, refolding the edges into mounted folds. So just like this. Okay, so now your paper should look like this. Now what we need to do is for each of the lines connecting the corners of the octagon, so like this line here and this line here, these need to be valley folds. So all the lines connecting the corners of the octagon need to be valley folds. So let's start doing that. So just keep going around, making sure those lines are all valley folds. Okay, so now for the edges of the octagon, the lines connecting those need to be, you guessed it, mountain folds. So we're going to go around the piece and make sure the lines connecting the edges of the octagon are all mountain folds. Okay, so now your paper should look like this. And at this point, we're going to start collapsing the paper again along those crease lines we just made. So the first step is to fold the excess paper outside the edges of the octagon. Just fold those down. It should be easy because we made all those mountain folds earlier. So now your piece will look like this. And now we're just going to start collapsing one of the faces of the piece along the lines we previously made. So mountain fold here, and also here on the left side, this is a mountain fold. So now we have this figure here, and we're just going to collapse the rest of the poppy right behind it. And again, this should be relatively easy because of all the folds we made earlier. So just keep collapsing the flower. Then you'll have a piece like this. And what we're doing here is just going around the piece and making sure that all of the pieces are tucked in nice and tight. The more cleanly we do this here, the better the final flower will be. So won't be perfect, but try to tuck in all the pieces. And then once you're satisfied, just put that flat and crease it. Okay, so next we're going to fold over one of the flaps so that the red part is showing, and that there's a gap between the, you can see the gap between the two upper halves of the piece. Alright, next we're going to take the lower left edge and fold it up like we're showing here. Then make the same fold on the right side, overlapping the last fold. Then unfold those two folds. Now you can repeat that on the back side. you're going to fold this right flap over to the left and then pull out the inner flap along the pre-creases we just made. Now we need to do that 3 more times. So we'll do it right opposite. First we'll do the pre-crease. And then pull out the flap. And then 2 more times. So once there, and here as well. Okay, now we're simply going to fold up the lower left and right edges. And flip the piece over and repeat that on the back side. So now you want to grip the piece in those 2 locations with your left hand, or right hand if you're left-handed. Just hold it firmly at those 2 locations with 4 fingers. And using your other hand, start to unfold the flower. So first these 2 petals here. And then tackle the other 2. And be careful as you're doing this. You don't want to tear the paper. And as you're unfolding, shape the petal a little bit. Good. Now at this point, we like to push in this top portion of the inner flower a little bit. Not absolutely necessary, but that's a little shape. Then we're going to go around the tips of each petal and just make a series of 2 or 3 small mountain folds to round the edge of the petal. So that looks more like a poppy. And there you have it. Your origami poppy is complete. Enjoy.